Good evening, everyone. I'm sorry, y'all. I am late. I was making tea. I am getting sick. Again. Oh, God, I'm so tired of being sick. I really am. I'm exhausted of being sick. Happy Diwali. I shared that on Instagram earlier for those of you who do celebrate. Okay, y'all. Let me upload this document first because I know that I cannot share my screen. It doesn't work like that. Okay, so I apologize one for this being so late. This is super late. We have already had a week of releases, which I'm usually a month ahead of schedule. So we will do another one of these lives at some point this month. October was just a very, very, very hectic month for me. And so, unfortunately, I was not able to get to doing um, I was not able to get to this new release live until today. I also was not feeling very well when I was supposed to do this on, what was this, Thursday? I was supposed to do this on Thursday, something like that. I was not feeling well on Thursday. My uterus decided that it wanted to kick my ass, so there's that. So yes, this is where we're at. November and December just honestly are usually going to be less, y'all. Just so you're aware, is typically less releases because we're getting closer around to the holiday season. So November, the biggest releases happened last week Tuesday. The most releases that I have happened last week Tuesday. So I am going to do last week's new releases just in case anyone has missed anything or you want to take note of anything that came out last week. But you'll notice that as we get to the next longest one is going to be November 14th. And then by the time we get to the 21st and the 28th of November, the new releases have significantly shrunk. For those of you who may be newer, who may not have seen me do this before, or are not familiar with my new release videos, I do not capture everything that comes out every week because of the fact that it is entirely too much information. There's absolutely no way that I would be able to cover everything that is ultimately released within a week or within a month. October was a good example of that. We had so many new releases for October that I wanted to kind of highlight that I ended up having to split it into two parts. And even then, I still missed a lot of information or a lot of books that were releasing. I typically do not catch a lot of indie stuff because their release schedule is a little different. Most of my stuff is coming from smaller indie presses, but if people are, I shouldn't say I don't catch independent, I should say people typically like self-publish and stuff like that. I'm probably not going to catch it because they don't have a consistent release schedule. And so with indies and the big publishing houses, typically everything is released on Tuesdays, although you have those oddities that release throughout the rest of the week. Something else, I cover pretty much everything from adult to middle grade to picture books to YA, children's lit. So you're going to see a little bit of everything. This is not specifically set for one age category. This is not specifically set for one genre because that's not me as a reader, which most of you already know that. But that's just for people if you're newcomers and you've never been here before. I only want this one to be an hour, y'all, because I have been traveling. I literally did not get back home until about 2 hours ago. And then I had to hurry up and cook dinner for the week because I'm busy tomorrow night and Tuesday night. And so if I wanted us to have food to eat for the week, I had to hurry up and cook. So I cooked. Then I had to get my child ready for bed. And so I literally have been on the move all day. And so I really just want to stop and pause and breathe. just for a little while at some point this evening. So we're gonna make this as quick as possible. Um, so this is it. This is our. I messed up somewhere in here. I'm just gonna go ahead and let you know that I skipped a book and added it somewhere. So if there's a moment where it gets a little I'm confused, it's because I messed up and I can't remember exactly where I messed up, but I do know that I messed up. Um, is everybody ready to go? Can I get a thumbs up? That way, because I know some people like to take notes of things that have released. So y'all give me a thumbs up when you're ready. We're gonna start with the week of November 7th. And I think today I have a total of about 77 new releases for the month of November that I personally wanted to highlight. Of course, there's lots more books that came out, but I know, right? Inner teacher. Can I get a thumbs up from everybody if you're ready to go? This feels very teacher-esque, like it does. It really does. These feel like presentations, online presentations, and they're funny. Okay. All right, let's get started. Week of November 7th. So this was last week. All right, first three things we have. If you are a reader of Bad Guys, if you are a fan of Bad Guys, I enjoy Bad Guys, y'all. It's a hilarious children's fiction series. And Aaron actually started a new one that is called Cat on the Run. I think I talked about that one in a previous new release video, but this is the 18th book in the series, has finally released. They're really, really quick reads, really, really hilarious. Great read alouds if you have a little one that you are reading to and they're a big fan of, humor. Next one, if you have a more independent reader that is into historical events, adventure, survival stories. The next book in the I Survive series, which is also pretty popular, is releasing it. It is I Survived the Great Alaska Earthquake. I think it's 1964 is a date attached to it. I've read a couple of these. They're a great way to teach history, but also have like a survival aspect of it, and children are reading about kids their own age that would have gone through these major disasters. So that's the next one in the series. I don't know what number that is in the series, but we're getting up there. And then we have The Big Cheese, which is the next picture book in the food group series, which is like The Bad Seed, Sour Grape, all those. I don't know if y'all have heard of those picture books by John Jory, but this is the next one that's in the series. It's The Big Cheese. And it the description of this one is actually like Jory John. I don't know why I call him John Jory. Thank you, Kathleen. I definitely call that man John Jory. It's Jory John. This one, the summary behind this one I think is pretty funny because it's the annual Cheesekathlon in this book. Like that's the event that's happening, and so the Big Cheese is always like he's always the winner. But then there's a new kid called Wedgman who comes to compete. And so the Big Cheese is getting taught some humility, which is always a good skill to learn for kids. All right. Next we have The Last Kids on Earth. This is the 9th book in the series. Monster Dimension. These are like post-apocalyptic, or they're apocalyptic. When you say post-apocalyptic, they're like apocalyptic books. There's a Netflix TV show adaptation of these. I didn't know if anybody was a huge fan of these. I own a good bit of them, actually. If I'm not mistaken, I think I own like 5 books in the series. They have like illustrations in them. Really good. So just the 9th one. Then we have Murtaugh, which is YA fantasy. This is Christopher Paolini's return to the world of Aragon, which I have not read that series. I have heard so many mixed reviews. There are people who love the Aragon cycle, or the inheritance cycle. I don't know why I wanted to call it the Aragon cycle. It is the inheritance cycle. I know a lot of people who've read it who've enjoyed it, and then I know a lot of people who've read it and they think they're completely boring. But dragons are a thing now. People are looking for more dragon things, although dragon things have always existed. You throw in a book like Fourth Wing, and now everybody's looking for dragons. So this one is a book that takes place a year after the events at the end of the original inheritance cycle. I don't know how that's going to be. I think it's interesting. I think part of me wants to read this, to be honest with you. Part of me wants to read this because I know that he wrote Aragon when he was very young. And so I wonder how, as an adult now, because I believe he was a teenager when he wrote Aragon, I'm very interested in seeing how, as an adult, stepping back into this world, like how his writing has changed, and if you'll be able to notice the differences. They did release the illustrated version of Aragon as well. It was last week, which I thought was very interesting that they released the illustrated version of Aragon and Murtaugh in the same week, which money, 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 money. That's what that was. Um, and then the next one we have, of course, is another Warriors book. This is the fourth book. Thunder is the fourth book in the Starless Clan arc of the series. Don't ask me what arc that is and where it fits into the grand scheme of Warriors. Just know that someday, somehow, I'm going to make it there. I am hoping that next year I get into my Warriors bag, because it is not going to be a thing that I'm going to finish this year. Sorry, a couple comments. Yeah, it is interesting that he's going back. I wonder how that is gonna, with how much of a difference we'll be able to tell. Bad seed. It is a good read aloud. It's a very, very good read aloud. I want to too. My nephew's Christmas list. All right. Next up, we have Leela Greer, Teacher of the Year. If you did not know, this is another installment in the questionnaire series, which Andrea Beatty has written, and they are, I mean, people love these. I've read a couple of them, and I think, what is this one? It's all about kindness, learning to face your fears, and the profound difference that one brilliant educator can make in a child's life, which I think is needed right now. A reminder needed to how great teachers can be. Of course, we have Bookshops and Bone Dust, which is, I believe, more of a companion, because it's set in the world of Legends and Lattes, but I don't think it directly necessarily follows Legend and Latte. So this may be one of those situations where you don't have to read them in order, but I'm sure we're going to see the characters from the first book. I read Legends and Lattes this year and thought highly of it. Definitely more of a cozy fantasy. We're not looking for how can I put it? Not looking for like high fantasy type vibes. It's very, very cozy. I think very, very accessible, and one that I think I'm going to save for December. I have an audio version of Bone Shops and Bone Dust. But because of the cozy vibes to it, like I read the first one in January when it was still cold, and now that it's getting colder now, I think I may save this one until December. Yes, the cozy vibes. Yeah, it's a lot of good picture books coming out this month. Okay, it's a prequel, and you don't need to read it in order. Thank you, Jessica. It is a lot of great picture books coming out this month. Some questionable graphic novels coming out this month. Okay, so we have um, Keeper of the Lost Cities graphic novel adaptation. Now, I'm going to rant just a little bit because I feel like I need to rant just a little bit. I don't know how many of y'all are familiar with the Keeper of the Lost series by Shannon Messenger. It is a middle grade fantasy series that is well loved. They have circulated well for years. They continue to circulate anytime a book comes out in the series. Most people know that you have to, if you work in a library setting, you have to get multiple copies of it. The thing about the Keeper of the Lost series, Keeper of the Lost City series, is that, how do I put this? They're very long. Do I have one? Yes, I do. This is an example. This is not even a book that is part of the main storyline. This is kind of a how do they describe this one? It's it's kind of it's not because it's not a novella because it's short as heck. It's not short enough, but it's kind of like a guide to the Keeper of the Lost Cities world, right? Okay. This is the thickness. This is book 8.5. All right. We're talking this book is 700. Let's see here. 742 pages long. This is just book 8.5. Some of those books are getting close up to, 900 pages long. My fear, and they are verifying my fear. My fear is that um, with a book that large, right, with that much content, it's going to be hard to adapt it into a graphic novel format. A lot of the story is going to inevitably be lost. I don't think people understand that when you're doing graphic novel adaptations, sometimes there are some books that literally cannot be adapted into graphic novels because of the way that they are written. There is a technique, there is a style, there is a method to the madness when it comes to writing graphic novels and comic books. Okay. This is part one. This is Keeper of the Lost Cities graphic novel part one. Because the first book, mind you, this is the first book. Okay. The first book is 488 pages long. The first book is 488 pages long. Adapting that into a graphic novel is hellacious. And I'm not even really sure how they did it. Um, I don't know if they're really going to effectively do it. And it shows that they already had trouble doing it because they split the first book up into two parts for graphic novel adaptation. That within itself tells me a lot of things that I already need to know, and I'm very concerned that if they continue to adapt these adapt these books into graphic novels, there's going to end up being, multiple parts for every single book. It's a lot. It is it is a whole lot. It is thick, it is middle grade. Yeah. It's a lot. That has been a debate that's been going on pretty regularly about why middle grade books are getting longer and longer and longer and longer. And there is a series that kind of set the precedent for that, to be honest with you. And honestly, it is Harry Potter. Harry Potter set the precedent for that, where it was okay to take a middle grade series and extend the amount, like make them excessively long. Keeper of the Lost kind of follows that same trend in which some of the content in it, as you get through the rest of the series, honestly could be lower YA from my understanding. But that unfortunately that's what has happened. Okay, I'm done with my rant. All right, moving on. Now, one that I am excited to see get adapted. I literally just finished this book last month. Um, maybe last month, I think. Mr. Escape from Mr. Lemoncello's Library. Um, it's really, really great, y'all. I really, really enjoyed it. It's an older series. I think it came out maybe anywhere in between 6 to 10 years ago. I know it's a wide range, but I really, really enjoyed it. There's about, is it 5 books in a prequel? It's either 4 books in a prequel or 5 books in a prequel. But they all take place and revolve around libraries, which makes it interesting. So now they came up with a graphic novel adaptation. Um, yeah, I feel that it how do I put this? Um Keeper of the Lost Cities is a fast book too. They're fast books. But I think that what I'm trying to reiterate is that it's not or what I'm trying to say, not reiterate. It's not exactly like Harry Potter. I'm not saying it's exactly like Harry Potter, but when you have Harry Potter set the trend that middle grade books can be that long and kids will still pick them up, it gave license to create series where those books would be that long because people felt like a readership is there. The issue now is that when you factor in the pandemic and these kids have lost so much time for reading, that type of writing does not work anymore. That's what I mean by that. Um, and kids do read them, kids check them out, and they devour them. They are still written, the length is not a dictation of, or the length does not indicate the reading level. I think that can also be a misconception. Um, the reading level is still at the reading level that it's supposed to. If you look up the Lexile level on the Keeper of the Lost Cities, the reading level is still a middle grade audience. They're just a tad bit long. And for those who are struggling readers, reluctant readers, those are not the books that you would pass out. Second one, hope that makes sense, by the way. Um, Second one, a grandmother begins the story. This is a fiction book that is a unrivaled desire for healing and the power of familial bonds across 5 generations of Métis women, um, and the land and the bison that surround them. So this um, is a, how do I, what do I like to say? Is it intergenerational or not intergenerational? It's more like one of those family saga. That's it. That's the word I'm looking for. It's one of those family saga type of stories, which is my thing. Like Pachinko. Um, what is the other one that I look for, y'all? My brain is fried. I can't even remember. Um, what are other books like Pachinko? Y'all help me out here because I know the author who wrote it, y'all. Y'all Jesse wrote it, and I Homegoing. Goodness gracious, it was gonna take me forever to get there. I feel like if you like those type of books with Métis, thank you, Marissa. Homegoing, everybody, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Um, Homegoing and Pachinko are good examples of those family sagas that um you would probably, if you enjoy those, you would probably enjoy this one. I Love Your Face is another picture book, which is by Karma Wilson and A.G. Ford, which I absolutely adore them, not adove them, adore them. And this one is just about how adorable little faces are, literally. Literally, that's what that is about. All right, next week. 15 Secrets to Survival. Natalie D. Richards writes typically young adult thrillers. This is the same author. I'm looking at all the stuff I own by her. Four Found Dead, Seven Dirty Secrets, Gone Too Far, What You Hide, Five Total Strangers, 6 Months Later, My Secret to Tell. So Natalie D. Richards typically writes YA thrillers. This is her debut middle grade. That feels adventure-esque, also maybe have a little thriller elements to it because it's four classmates who are essentially forced to navigate the wilderness together for an extra credit project, and they have nothing to help them except a survival handbook. That could go left, especially because this is a middle grade group. So I'm interested to see how she's going to transition from writing a young adult to middle grade. She might be okay because she's sticking with it, I think, kind of along the same genres. But I always find it interesting when people either age up or age down. So if they age up from, middle grade to adult, or middle grade to YA, or the opposite of YA down to middle grade. I think we see a lot more people now also shifting up from YA to adult. And some shifting from adult to YA. So it's two different things, but I always find that to be intriguing. Um, Artifice by Sharon Cameron. This is the same author of, gosh, Reese Witherspoon made it her book club pick. Is it Something Hidden Places? I can't remember, but Sharon Cameron has written two other books prior to this one. Both of them are historical fiction. If I'm not mistaken, both of them take place during World War II. So this one also takes place during World War II. And it is about a main character who's helping her best friend smuggle Jewish babies out of Nazi occupied Amsterdam. Um, so probably going to be heart-wrenching, a little on the darker side, but I know that people speak highly of Sharon Cameron's other books. Yes, The Light in Hidden Places. That is what I was looking for. The next one we have is Among the Bros. This is one that I'm very, very interested in reading myself personally. It's adult nonfiction. Um, this is an investigator journalist's journey into um, American fraternities, specifically white um, American fraternities, and honestly, which they're a part of the IFC is what they're called. They're part of is it intra or inter fraternity council, whatever. I'm interested in this because a lot of people don't know a lot of the racist roots that a lot of the fraternities have. Like Kappa Alpha is notoriously known for um, people who were a part of it or somehow, some way, it is an offshoot. The KKK is an offshoot of Kappa Alpha. There are some connections between Kappa Alpha and the KKK. And I believe that was J. Edgar Hoover part of Kappa Alpha. I believe he was. So it's some very interesting, like even just on in a historical lens, right? There's some very interesting history when it comes to IFC fraternities, predominantly white fraternities. Um, this specifically looks. Where did he go? Did he go to Charleston? I can't remember where this investigative journalist went, but it was somewhere that I was familiar with. And I almost want to say, now I'm going to look it up really quick, y'all, because I almost want to feel like he went, um, if he went to the College of Charleston. I read the description about this one a while ago, and I cannot remember where he went to do his research. But either way, he ended up finding, while I look this up, a multi-million-dollar drug ring. And it was not what he was expecting. Yes, it was the College of Charleston in 2018. And he did not expect to find what he found. And they were trafficking Xanax. There were some deaths that were associated with it. Um, and also, I think that it was a couple of other things that he found. And it's interesting because a lot of, if you notice, and I think one of the things that I found really, really interesting that was in the description of this is that Greek life, like people think about Greek life in a very pop culture way, especially if you're not a part of Greek life. But there is some aspects of it that benefits you in, how do I put it? Career wise, it can. So like in the description it says 80% of Fortune 500 executives are part of a fraternity. 85% are a part of Greek life. 85% of Supreme Court justices were a part of Greek life. All but four presidents since 1825 have been fraternity members. So there's legacy that is attached to Greek life that people are not necessarily familiar with. So this is one, as someone who is a part of Greek life, but in a very different way than probably what he's looking at in this. I'm very interested in this one. This one caught my attention immediately. All right, next we have Duel, which is a middle grade graphic novel. This is a rivalry between two sisters who fence. If you have people who are readers, younger readers, or even adults that are fans of Raina Telgemeier or Shannon Hale, this is going to be a book that they would be interested in. We have a new Katie Robert book that released, Hunt on Dark Waters. Katie Robert is a very polarizing author for me personally because I think that she does a great smutty scene. I love reading her romantic and sexy moments in her books, but her plotting usually it either hits it or it doesn't hit it for me. It varies depending upon series, upon what characters. But this one I wanted to add because it caught my attention because um it deals with some mythical creatures that I am interested in. I think there's possibly maybe pirates in this, witches, whatever. I'm very this sounds up my alley, but I'm also very prepared to like know what I'm walking into when it comes to Katie Robert. Um, there is a new Cardboard Kingdom coming out, or it came out. Oh, it sucks. Dang. Oh, no, I did not want to hear that. Um, about you're talking about Hunt on Dark Waters, right, Ulysses? I'm not Cardboard Kingdom. I would say please don't say Cardboard Kingdom. This I don't know if this is the fourth one. This is the third or fourth one in the series. Um, and they are just on a new adventure. So if you are a fan of Cardboard Kingdom, there's a new one that came out. We Could Fly. This is a new picture book that has come out, not well, that is coming out. Oh, you're talking about Katie Robert. Okay, cool. Um, I thought that this one is an interesting one because it draws on the lyrics from the song We Could Fly. And it also draws on the heritage of African folklore. And it is dialoguing that happens between a mother and a daughter. So I know that the illustrations on this one are going to be good. Um, I am I am just I'm just ready for it. I am. I think this is one that I would love to read with my little one. The next one we have is Sail Me Away Home. This is the third book in the Show Me a Sign trilogy. I did not know that the author was planning to write a third one in this series. If you're looking for books that center the deaf experience, the author is also hard of hearing or deaf, if I'm not mistaken. Um, it is good. I've read the first one. It's historical fiction, and I can't remember what century it's set in. Please don't ask me that. But I really did enjoy the first one that I read. So now that there's a third one, I definitely um need to delve into the second one. Um, the next one is a middle grade graphic novel. This is Atanta and the Firebird. Um, this is a connection between a mermaid, a firebird, and a witch. Um, and it's a mystery, and it's a middle grade fantasy graphic novel, which I'm interested in because the fact that this is a mermaid, a firebird, and a witch, that's all I need to know. All right. Wish of the Wicked. This is Danielle Page, who is very well known for her fairy tale adaptation. She wrote the Dorothy Must Die series back in the day, like 2012-ish, when a lot of fairy tale retellings were coming out around the time. I really did enjoy, for the most part, the Dorothy Must Die series. I haven't read it in a long time. I would like to do a reread of it. She also had another standalone that came out at some point that was about the Snow Queen, but I don't think that really hit off that well. But this is her new one, Wish of the Wicked, which is a dark YA spin on Cinderella's fairy godmother, um, which is kind of like a new origin story. This is tagged as perfect for fans of These Violent Divides and A Curse so Dark and Deadly, which is that's a heck of an intro. That like it's amazing how you can write stuff down. And now that I'm looking at it, I'm like, These Violent Delights and A Curse so Dark and Deadly. That's That's an interesting mashup. Um, the next one is Emmett, which is a modern day gay Emma retelling. Um, it is a social critique of Austen, and it is an overtop romance that's being aligned with Bridgerton, which for me was a red flag because I read a book this year and I see the cover, Rosewood. Um, it is called A Midsummer. Is it called A Midsummer? Lord, I can't remember anything. I listen, this is how I know I'm tired. This is how I also know that I'm getting sick. Um, let me see if I can find it for y'all because this experience that I had with this one when it came to Bridgerton, this one was also tagged as Bridgerton, and it did not do it for me, and I can't. Rosewood, A Midsummer Meet Cute. Um, this is one that came out this year in March, and that one also was a Bridgerton type. It was flagged as having Bridgerton, and it was so much like Bridgerton, it just absolutely drove me wild. So my fear with Emmett is, while I'm excited about it because it's a modern day gay Emma and it's a social critique of Austen, but the fact that it's tagged as having a lush over the top romance, it's very indicative of Bridgerton. Red flag. So we'll see how that goes. The last one, Courting Samira. This one is set in Sydney, Australia. It is a adult romance. It's a rom-com. It's about a 27-year-old Palestinian woman who finds herself in an unexpected love triangle. I am typically not a fan of love triangles, but the setting, it's a 27-year-old Palestinian woman. I think I want to give it a try. And it has the tag associated with the Princess Bride. So that made me interested. All right, next one. We have A Nearby Country Called Love. This is an adult fiction that is set in Tehran, about a woman who lights herself on fire in a desperate act of defiance, setting off a chain reaction of violence and protest. That line alone kind of drew me in instantaneously. Um, but then when the woman dies, there's another character by the name of Issa who is haunted by her death and is ultimately forced to confront um, the contradictions of his own family history. Um, so there is some, from my understanding, there appears to be, because I haven't read it, so I don't know, there appears to be some analysis of toxic masculinity in this, um, as it applies to the main character's family, because his brother was a queer artist, if I'm not mistaken. Um, and so, in being a queer artist, his brother defied the expectations of their father. And he had different notions of what it meant to have honor, what masculinity meant. And so I think there's a lot that's going to be unpacked in that one, but I don't think that that one's going to be an easy read at all. Um, but I'm looking forward to reading that one. I got to make space and time to read that one. The next one is an adult nonfiction called What the Taliban Told Me. This is a memoir of a young Air Force linguist coming of age during during war. Um, I don't know how I'm going to feel about this one, but the fact that he worked in the Air Force as a linguist, and was listening, or was part of his responsibilities was to listen in on conversations that were occurring within the Taliban. I'm interested in seeing what came out of that, what his perception was, but then again, um, it may just piss me off. So there's that. There's always that chance that it's just going to piss me off. But there is a slight interest in that one for me. The next one is The Secret of Ravens, which is a middle grade graphic novel. It's about orphan twins. Um, and they end up taking on a series of mysterious raven quests in order to make money and survive. I'm just in a huge middle grade graphic novel mood, so I've been keeping track of all of the great things that are coming out that are middle grade graphic novels. Sorry, y'all. Trying to move fast and keep up with your comments. Bridgerton is always a red flag. Modern day gay Emma. That's what I thought when I saw modern day gay Emma. I was like, oh yeah, this is gonna be good. Princess Bride, yeah. All right. We are still in November 7th, my friends. I think there was like something like 45 books for November 7th. All right. Love Boat Forever. This was a personal one for me. This is the third book in the Love Boat series. I've read the first two, which was Love Boat Taipei, Love Boat Reunion, and this is Love Boat Forever. This has been made into, which I didn't know, because it took me forever to realize that the adaptation on Paramount Plus, which is called Love in Taipei, I was like, why does that sound like this book that I read? And that's when I realized I was like, oh my gosh, it's an adaptation of Love Boat Taipei, but they changed the name, and I had no idea that that the book had actually been picked up an option for it, exactly. I had no idea. No, I haven't had a chance to watch it yet because I kind of look want to reread the first book before. But I've read the first book, y'all, I think 3 or 4 times. That's how much I love that series. That I've read the first book so many times. But I do need to do reread it. I do need to watch adaptation. This one is about the main characters in the first book. This is her sister, and I believe that her sister is now, I don't know if her sister is going to the same place that she went to, but I do know that it is taking place from her sister's perspective, which I think is interesting considering like just the relationship dynamics that they had and throughout the first and second book. The next one, Small Shoes, Great Strides. This is a children's nonfiction book that is about the three girls who opened up the doors to school equality. So they were the three black first graders that stepped into a all white school in New Orleans in November of 1960. So this is honoring them, and because they actually integrated their school, which I think is so fascinating. They integrated their school 10 minutes before Ruby Bridges integrated hers. And so I think more people, of course, are familiar with Ruby Bridges, and not as much as these three, which is Leona, Gail, and Tessie. So I'm very, very excited to pick up this one. Because I think that we are starting to get more, especially in children's literature, we're starting to get more nonfiction or informational picture books about lesser known figures, especially like in Black history, which I appreciate because typically everyone sticks to Rosa Parks, Martin Luther King, which is not saying there's anything wrong, but there are so many other people um, in the community that have contributed to Black history that often don't get as much shine. So I was excited to see that this one had gotten picked up. The next one is Gorgeous Gruesome Faces, um, which this one threw me off because this is tagged as being or more comped Yellow Jackets, which I don't know if y'all have seen Yellow Jackets. Um, y'all, I I wish I could explain how I tried to watch Yellow Jackets. Um, and I'm trying to think of how to explain it without spoiling too much. But it's on Paramount. It is about a team, um, soccer team. I think they were a soccer team. It's been so long since I watched it. They're going to, it's told in dual timelines, right? And so we get the past and the present, and they are flying to, I believe it is a championship game. The plane crashes, and it crashes in the woods, but it crashes in the woods where it's hard for people to find them because somebody did something that makes it damn impossible. And so they're stuck there, and winter is approaching. And so you can only imagine what happens as a matter of survival. Okay. It gets dark, it gets super dark. And they did some stuff as teens in that forest trying to survive that they don't want to talk about as adults. I felt like Yellow Jackets was really dark, like really, really dark. Um, and this is comped as Yellow Jackets meets She is a Haunting. So I don't know how I'm going to feel about this one, but it is a sapphic thriller that follows a disgraced teen idol who comes face to face with the demons of her past in a glittering cutthroat K-pop competition. Um, so I don't know how the cover is intriguing to me, but that Yellow Jackets comp threw me for a loop. I don't know if Yellow Jackets was actually based on an actual. I don't know. I didn't look that far into it. I made it through a couple of episodes and I said, you know what, this shit's not for me. Because I think that it is very realistic, what they had to do in order to survive in that moment. It just felt too real. I'm not gonna lie to you. It all just felt way, way, way too real to me. So I couldn't do it. Um Next, we have Invisible Generals. This is a adult nonfiction that tells the story of America's first Black generals. Then we have The Mantis, which is an adult thriller. It is set in Tokyo's criminal underground. Um, and this main character is he's a family man during the day, but he's actually a hitman. Yeah, he lives a dual life as a hitman. So this takes place in Tokyo's criminal underworld. Then we have In the Pines. This is where I messed up. I was like, where did I mess up? Um, we have In the Pines. This is another one, adult nonfiction that really, really grabbed my attention. Um, it is about the unsolved murder of a Black man in rural Mississippi. And I can't tell you like how many stories like this probably exist where you have a Black person um, that's been murdered, um, that's been lynched, um, and there's no way to figure out who did it. Um, and so this one for me, it kind of does shed light on the racial terror that exists in the United States. I think still very much so prominent in the United States, but it's one of those books where I think that people often think that, post slavery, which, however you want to define post slavery, because I still feel like it exists, but in a different format, um, everything is fine. We didn't have any issues. People often forget about the terror of the KKK, or people just don't want to acknowledge it. People don't want to acknowledge how many Black people were literally just killed for sport. Um, and there was no justice ever brought. Um, there was, no trial. And when there was a trial, as you look at, like Emmett Till, they're acquitted. You have all white juries. So I'm very interested in this one. And the Pie says Dr. Minnie. I didn't look to see if I didn't see anything about it, but if it does, I would be interested. The author on this one is Grace Elizabeth Hale. Jennifer in the Pines is the author. All right, next we have Finding My Elf. This is a YA contemporary, which I'm sure a lot of people are excited about for the holiday season. This one is comped as Single All the Way meets Simon versus Homo Sapiens Agenda. It's a rom-com. Um, it, I mean, they're working in a Santa's village, and that's the setting for their romance. The next one is Barbacoa, Bomba, and Betrayal. This is the third installment in the Caribbean Kitchen Mystery series, which I've read the first one and enjoyed it. I think who else? I think Renee read the first two as well, and just thought that they were okay. But if you're looking for my more diverse cozy mysteries, that is a series to possibly check out. And that is the third one. And on this last one here, we have Swarm, which, if you're not an insect person, I don't know if you're going to enjoy this one. I'm not particularly an insect person, but still, the premise was kind of interesting. I'm not too sure if this is going to be horror or dystopian or a mix of both, so that's why I kind of put both of them. I don't know. But it literally is about these creatures that appear. Our main character sees it and says it looks like a giant butterfly, and nobody thinks twice about it, right? Because it's so beautiful, it can't possibly be a threat. Let me tell you something. If I see any species of animal that I'm not familiar with, ain't no fucking way I'm just gonna be there like, oh, it's so pretty. Okay. Especially if it's big, because these things look big. I don't know. It could just be me. Um, but then after, like, the main character sees these initial things, because we don't know what they are, the emergency signal, how we all get the emergency notification here in the United States. Um, it goes off on everyone's phones. And so that's when they realize that something actually is horribly wrong. Um, and they don't know what's going to come next. And this becomes a survival type of story. Um, I don't know. I the premise, let me tell you, the premise sounds interesting, but insects and I don't know. But possibility, if that's your thing, you might enjoy that one. Finding my outfit. Ain't that cute? Joe Corman, Georgia, from Journal describing Legend 3. Yes. It is. I don't know. People just often, they just want to forget, those parts of history. It, yes, Jessica. Not my friends either, but here we are. Okay, next one we have is Tag and Freedom. This is a middle grade realistic fiction. Um, This is a inspirational story of hope, freedom, and belonging. It is comped for fans of Other Words for Home, which I absolutely adored, and A Good Kind of Trouble, which I also enjoyed. So this one sounds like it was right up my alley. Then we have Skip, which is a middle grade insect book. Not me read the insect book and let y'all know. Um, Skip is a middle grade graphic novel. This one is about double dutch, which I thought was interesting. The main character is obsessed with double dutch, and I think that I clung to this because I remember, going to Long Island every summer to visit my dad and my cousins. And if there's one thing I could not do that everybody else could do, and that was like double dutch. Single rope, I had it. Double dutching, girl, no, absolutely not. So just the fact that this was about double dutching, I thought that was very interesting. The next one is an adult thriller, which is The Manor House. This is about childhood sweethearts, Nicole and Tom. They are, you know, living such a sweet life. They are a typical couple, and then uh, a massive lottery win happens, and their lives change overnight. Um, so they end up moving, um, and they have this manor. This is the manor house, which is where the title comes in from. They start spending their money on expensive cars. They have all these new hobbies. Um, and living the life of the rich and the famous essentially after this lottery win until Tom is found dead. Tom was found dead in the swimming pool, and so now it becomes was it an accident, or did Nicole kill him? Which Nicole is very obvious, so I highly doubt that it was her. um I that's what I'm saying. Like I think butterflies are gorgeous, but from that cover though, they look kind of big. So I don't know. I'm jealous, Maya. Who decides for yellow books? Just not in my house. Got you. And jumping in. No, like I get yeah. If it was a single rope, I could definitely jump in. But double dutch, there was no way. No way. Oh, huge marmot butterflies. Oh, and she could see one by the soccer field from inside her classroom. Absolutely not, child. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But I wouldn't buy her. She did. Wow, Robin. Oh no. There's no, oh, that's beautiful. That's wild. Okay. Next, we have One Night in Hartswood. This takes place in 1360 Oxford. Now, I put this one on here. I am not um, a big historical romance reader. It's not to say that I won't read it, but I don't read it very often. This one caught my attention because it takes place in 1360 Oxford. I'm not sure that I've ever come across a historical romance that has taken place in the 14th century, which I think is amazing. It deals with a main character fleeing from an arranged marriage who meets a stranger, and he is supposed to return him back to his family, but I'm sure the two of them end up falling in love. As a history major, I should know this, and I don't have an answer. I'm gonna keep it 100 with you. I ain't gonna lie. I ain't gonna fake the funk. It might be, it might not be. Somebody open up a Google tab and tell us when was Black Plague? Was it in the 1300s or not? Because I can't remember. Oh no, why have y'all read all of these damn books already? You know what? This I'm telling y'all something. This ain't never gonna happen again. We are always gonna do our new release videos a month before because see, everything that I'm interested in reading, y'all are like, no, actually, it didn't work. Dang, that's horrible. That was what I was looking for, Sarah, the 1360s. How disappointing. Okay. So we have a picture book, What's in a Dumpling Grandma? It's a story about a boy who loves to eat adventurously, um, um, family traditions, and grandmother's love. And so his grandmother teaches him how to make Vietnamese dumplings, and passes down stories and information or history about their heritage of comfort food, while they're making the dumplings, which, you know, food is a language of love for me. And so I love reading about, learning about food, but definitely food from cultures that are not of my own. And so I'm very, very excited for that one. Then we have With or Without You. This is by Eric Smith. This is a new YA rom com, and it's about two teens, which I thought it definitely has like a Romeo and Juliet feel to it, which I, you know, that kind of low key sold me. It's not calmed as Romeo and Juliet, but this whole idea that the two teens are stuck in the middle of their family's rivalry, their food truck rivalry. So they both do Philly cheesesteak food trucks, and their families are rivals. But the two of them, of course, are falling in love. I've read something like this before. I can't remember the name of the book, which is unfortunate, but it was it Vietnamese? I think it was Vietnamese, and it was competing family restaurants, and the two main characters end up falling for each other. And I thought that that one was very, very well written. But yeah, the Philly cheesesteak food truck rivalry, two characters who are supposed to not even be friends falling in love. I'm down for it. I'm down for it. Okay, this is the one that I left out originally that was supposed to be before In the Pines, and it's 11 Words for Love. This is a new Palestinian picture book that focuses on a Palestinian family, that is in exile. And it explores universal bonds of family, loyalty, and friendship through the lens of 11 Arabic expressions for love. I'm very, very excited for that one. And the last one um, is A Nightmare Hour, which is part of the Futureland series, which I read the first book last year. It's definitely like middle grade sci-fi. I really, really enjoyed it because of the theme park, the futuristic like theme park. Think of like Six Flags, but in the future. And I do think that it's set in, is it set in Atlanta? I can't remember. I feel like it's set in a city that's like Atlanta, but it is the sequel, and It has some creepy carnival aspects to it, which I find to be interesting. This one is for fans of Spider-Man Miles Morales. I don't know if I would comp it like that after reading the first book. Um, I don't know because it definitely feels more futuristic than Miles Morales. And I feel like we're saying Miles Morales because we have two black boys. But that could just be me. I wouldn't necessarily comp it like that. I do need to reread the first book before I dive into the second one. But if you haven't read it, if you're looking for more middle grade, especially diverse middle grade sci-fi, you like theme parks, Futureland is a great series to check out. No, it's a it's a young adult book. Okay. Are we done with November 7th? We are in fact done with November 7th. Okay. So we are the week of November 15th, November 14th, which is tomorrow. Not tomorrow. Tuesday. Work with me here. Work with me. The first one we have is Punicorn, or is it Punnycorn? See, I didn't know if this was Punicorn or Punnycorn. I feel like it could go either ways, but who knows? Maybe it's like a book full of puns, and so it would be Punnycorn. Who knows? Um, or it could be a very small unicorn. But it is a middle grade graphic novel. This is the same creator of the Hilo series. So if you know readers who are huge, huge fans of that middle grade graphic novel series, this is the same creator. This is about a unicorn and his friends who battle to save the kingdom from a powerful ogre. I think it's going to be funny. I think the cover already makes it look funny. Um, the next one is it's called The Professor. This is an adult thriller. This takes place in Athens, Georgia. It is following the death of a character by the name of Ethan, and apparently it is death by suicide. Apparently, it is death by suicide. And it does not capture the attention of the media because of the fact that it's death by suicide. It's because it reflects or it not reflects, that's a horrible way to describe it, but it's because of the scandal that's associated with it. His professor has been taken in for questioning. Um, and the questioning is around the possibility that Ethan, which is the character that I was talking about, has had a romance with this professor. So there's this, I think, this aspect of questioning power dynamics, even though in a collegiate setting, you are dealing with people who are of consenting age. Um, that it's not illegal for a professor to have a relationship with their students. However, the power dynamics in that still um, kind of make it weird, almost unbalanced. Um, and so then, as a result of this investigation, so a Title IX investigation is opened up, the professor is suspended, and then social media gets a hold of it. So I think that this has some commentary um, involved in it as well. Um, and I say adult thriller. I think there's some thriller aspects to it, but I also think that this could just fit under just general adult fiction as well. Um, the next one is Tired of Winning. I've read a book by Jonathan Carl before about the Trump administration, which I did enjoy. So to see that he's coming out with another one, I definitely wanted to add that one to my list. This is a look at the state of the Republican Party, and what how are they feeling right now with the fact that Trump is on trial right now, right? And yet he is still like the dominant force, the dominant face of the Republican Party. Um, and how that has even happened when you think about all the Republicans who have tried to distance themselves from that or have felt issue with the fact that he still remains the face of the Republican Party. I do have Mitt Romney's um memoir just came out. It came out the same day as Britney's memoir, if I'm not mistaken. My hold from Mitt Romney's memoir just came in, and I'm interested in reading that one too because I think he's going to give some perspective on like his time being a Republican and how that shift changed when you bring Donald Trump into the fold. So yeah, water title winning, yes. So many words, yeah. Ah, I don't know what, to be honest, Aaron, I have no idea what's going to happen. Because Biden is not, he's not going to get the younger vote right now at all. So I have no idea what's going to happen. Um, I know I need to be deep in nonfiction November, but there's so much stuff that I want to read for nonfiction November that I've started a bunch of stuff and I have not finished anything. So there's that. All right, next thing we have The War Begins in Paris, 1938. This is a The War Begins in Paris. The book takes place in 1938. I completely wrote that wrong. Sorry. This is an adult historical fiction. It is about two it's a is it two foreign correspondents? I believe it's two foreign correspondents um who are in Paris in 1938, and it's right around the time, of course, when World War II um, makes landfall in Paris. And so it's about um, their interesting relationship. And when I say interesting relationship, um, I mean interested in the way that I'm trying to figure out how to describe this. So basically, the simple way to describe it is one character is supposed to die and the other character is supposed to kill her. So there's that. The next one we have is Network of Lies, which is another nonfiction one that I'm very, very excited to pick up because of the fact that Fox News did a lot of interesting things. Um, and when it came to reporting the truth about things like the 2020 election, and ultimately ended them, or it put them in a position where they had to pay millions of dollars in legal settlements because of the just inflammatory content that they were releasing and content that was not even remotely true. Um, and so the fact that they were attempting to mislead the public is a huge, huge thing. And I think it puts a question mark on journalism as a whole. Like, what is going on that would even be a thing that journalists are doing. Um, yeah. So I don't know. I know I do know I do want to read that one. The last one we have is Pretty. This is tagged or as Concrete Rose meets Things We Couldn't Say. It's a debut novel that follows two boys who get caught in the crossfire of some plot um, that threatens not only to harm them, but also their chance at a relationship with each other. That cover is to letter, like, I mean, y'all, that cover is to die for. I think that cover is absolutely interesting. Um, Maya, I don't know if it is. I it's it's giving sapphic vibes. War Begins in Paris. It's giving sapphic vibes, but I don't know if the author goes that far. It does, based on the summary, it does appear as though there is a possibility of a romantic relationship that exists between them, but I don't know if it's actually going to be explored in that way. It appears that way by the summary, of course. Um, yes. Okay. Next one. Boys Don't Fry. Um, and this is cute. I think this picture book is absolutely adorable. It takes place during the Lunar New Year, and the main character, Jen, he wants to help prepare the Lunar New Year feast. Excuse me, y'all, but he never gets the opportunity to because only the girls are asked. And so he, that's why the title we have, Boys Don't Fry. Excuse me. Oh my gosh, I'm getting so sick. The next one we have is Artifacts of an Ex. This is a young adult contemporary romance. Um, it's a coming of age story and a romance. I put this one on here. I don't know if I'm going to read it or not. It is comped for Jenny Han and Emma Lord, but we'll see. I probably will end up reading it. And the last one is Alexa Martin, who I typically do not read, but this one sounded interesting. This is Next Door Nemesis. It's two rival candidates for homeowners association. So I thought I mean, I think that that's pretty cute. Like you have two rivals who are fighting to be president of the homeowners association, and how they find out how dirty suburbanites can be through this race in the running, and it's said to be steamy. So romantic comedy. Um, so we'll see what happens. No, I cannot call out tomorrow. I have to do a presentation tomorrow. So no, that cannot happen, unfortunately. Next one is middle grade graphic novel, Daddy and the Beanstalk. This is comped as fans for Narwhal and Jelly, which is a very, very popular series, which I do like Narwhal and Jelly. This is kind of like a twist on fairy tales, um, associated also with like bedtime. So I'm guessing that someone's getting told a story at bedtime and it's a fraction fairy tale of sorts. Next, we have an adult romance called Plot Twist. Um, this is a romance about a romance author. So, interested in see how this is going to go. Because it's a romance author who has never been in love. And so people find out that she's never been in love and her secret goes viral. Um, So she has a manuscript that's due, and before sure she turns in her manuscript, to kind of deal with her writer's block to help her so that she can meet her deadline, she makes the decision that she is going to reunite with her exes, including her last girlfriend, Carla. And she's trying to figure out why she's never fallen in love, which I think is a heck of I just don't know, like, but not only is she doing that, y'all, not only is she revisiting her exes to find out why she's never fallen in love, um, she decides that she's going to document it for everyone to see. It's going to go wrong. The last one is a picture book called What Rosa Brought. This is about a Jewish young girl who is fleeing Nazi occupation with her parents. It is based on um, the author's mother's experiences. It's about family, immigration, and identity, and the power of love. Isn't that wild, y'all? Like when I read the synopsis of that one of Plot Twist, I was like, "Child, what? What you mean? You go and you revisit your exes to figure out why you never fell in love with them, and then you have the audacity to document it and show that shit online." Like, I know I really honestly want to read that one just for the mess. I ain't gonna lie to you. I want to read it because I know that it's gonna be messy. All right. The next one that we have on our docket here is What Brothers Do All Day. And that is a picture book. Um, and it's interesting because this one was inspired by Richard Scarry's What People Do All Day. So I think that like I'm very interested in that. I don't know if y'all are familiar with Richard Scarry books. Or if you are familiar specifically with that Richard Scarry book, but it is a book that places emphasis on Black joy that shows what Black men do every day. because I think there's this disgusting misconception of Black men, of course, in America, and what they actually do from day to day. And so this one is um, celebrating Black culture and shows community and uplifts Black men. So excited to see what that one's going to look like and how closely it follows Richard Scarry's What Do People Do All Day. The next one is another picture book, Wawa Goes Tawa, which is this one I think is gonna be funny, because what do you do as a parent or a caregiver? Like, what the hell do you do when your child just has like a complete meltdown, right? Um, and so this one is about small kids who manage to make their wishes known in the loudest way possible before they're able to talk. Um, which is it. It is always interesting the way, like, when I think about when I looked at this one, I thought about like how my daughter would communicate with me when she was younger without having words, and how they are literally able to communicate and get things that they need and they want when they really honestly cannot verbalize it. I never really thought about it honestly, the way like communication happened between the two of us before she could verbalize anything, but it happened. And crying and having a meltdown is a big part of that. Um, the last one on here on this specific slide is another middle grade graphic novel. I'm interested in this one greatly because it is a wordless graphic novel. And it is only a two color. So primarily we're looking at probably red and white. Um, as being the dominant colors in this one. It is also about disability, companionship, and transformation. And it takes place in the wild. So yes. Wow, Maya. I'm done. All right. The last two that I have on here, Gender Rebels. This is a young adult nonfiction, which is an illustrated book that celebrates 30 trans, gender expansive, and non binary heroes throughout the world. And then we have Ethan Fairmount's, the second book in the Ethan Fairmount book with series, which is Too Many Interesting Things Are Happening to Ethan Fairmount. This is by Nick Brooks, who I've read his book, The Promise Boys. He's written a lot very, very quickly because The Promise Boys just released this year. I think the first Ethan Fairmount book released last year, but he's put out basically, let's put it this way, he's put out three books in what feels like maybe a year and a half. So he's a quick writer. And The Promise Boys was one of my favorite young adult reads for 2023. All right, week of November 26th. This is very, very short. We only have 7 titles for this. The first one we have is When the Stars Came Down. This is an indigenous picture book about story, telling, and tradition to help navigate change. Then we have Ink Girls, which is a middle grade graphic novel. And this one takes place in a vibrant city that follows two different girls from, I think, two different walks of life, but they kind of have to work together to stop censorship, which I think this is a very timely book considering book banning, book challenging. And then we have Warrior of the Wind. This is the second in this adult fantasy series that is inspired by pre-colonial empires of West Africa. I have been dying to read the first book. I literally put this one on here, y'all, to remind me that I need to read the first one. I selfishly put this on here because I keep forgetting to read the first one. The first one looks very, very interesting, but this is the second one in that series. We have Island Snow. This is the sixth book in this Isle of Adventure chapter book series. I have the first one upstairs that I've been meaning to read for weeks on end. But they're really, this is by Little Simon. They do these chapter books that I don't hear many people talking about, but they are really, really cute. I think a lot of readers do enjoy them. they are the most adorable things, y'all. But like I said, I have the first book literally upstairs, and I've been meaning to read it. I then have The Queer Girl Is Going to Be Okay. This is a YA realistic fiction book. It is about a queer friendship, which is different than what I'm used. Like, I think when a lot of people see this cover, like, A Queer Girl Is Going to Be Okay, I think it's easy to perceive this as a YA contemporary or YA romance, but I like the fact that this is based on queer friendship and girlhood. It's set in Houston, which is interesting. And if you look at it, like, it took me a while. I don't know if this is y'all. It took me a while to realize that those are buildings in the background. So whoever designed this, like, I thought it was just like stripes, but it's almost like someone is taking a photograph of them from like where their feet are and is angling up so you could see the cityscape and the three girls in the background or in the foreground of it. And the last one that I have on here is Archimaniacs. Which, of course, I'm thinking like this is a cross between Gotham and the Animaniacs, and so we get Archimaniacs. This, of course, is one of DC's middle grade adventures that is interesting. Art is on this title, which I'm familiar with their work as well. Um, and it is a cartoony take on an apartment in apartment building, which is Arkham, in Gotham City. All right, and the last one is This Love? This is a picture book that is a um I think it's a word for word recapture, of course, of Bob Marley's song Is This Love, but in picture book format. So if you've heard his song Is This Love, this is the adaptation of it in picture book form, which that's what I should have said. All right, last week, the week of November 28th, so this is like right after Thanksgiving here in the US. So this is also the 21st is right before Thanksgiving. That's why that list is so small. November 28th is right after Thanksgiving, so also not a whole bunch that's getting published. The first one that we have is The Kingdom of Sweets. This is an adult fantasy. Is this the first book that Erica Johansson has done in a while, or is it just me? I feel like this is the first one that we've seen from Erica Johansson in a minute. This is a Nutcracker retelling um, of it's a Nutcracker retelling, except it focuses on twin sisters that are divided by envy and magic, and it is they are set to battle against each other. And I don't necessarily mean like actual battle, but they are like pinned against each other, and it's set during Christmas Eve. Which, yeah, I'm excited. Hey, Jillian. Yes, it is timely since the Bob Marley biopic is coming out, which I'm not sure how I'm gonna feel about that either, but there's that. I saw the trailer and I was both excited and kind of nervous about like how this was gonna go, but I did hear that I think Ziggy behind some of the production in this one, like, or at least he was present for a good portion of it. So I don't know. We shall see. Didn't see that coming. This is a YA contemporary slash romance. This is being comped as You Got Mail. It's about a gamer girl with a secret identity and an online best friend that she's never met in real life until she transfers to his school. So I know that if you've read Dial A for Aunties, The Obsession, or Well, That Was Unexpected, um, this is the same author, of course. I'm sure y'all know that. The next one we have is For Never and Always. This is an adult romance. Um, this is I this could possibly be enemies to lovers, but not necessarily. Because they were best friends. Um, who ends up being bitter, like then they end up being exes. um, and then he has 3 months to prove that he still loves her. Um, so I don't know. I just saw that this is it's a second chance romance, which I do like that trope. It is for fans of Alexandria Bellefleur, which I do like some of their stuff, and then Ashley Heron Blake, which I do really enjoy Ashley Heron Blake. So the comps for this one is kind of what drew me in. We have Like Thunder, which is the sequel to Nadia Okorafor's Shadow Speaker. This is an adult sci-fi. Um, then we have Gwen and Art Are Not in Love. This is about the descendants of King Arthur, who are betrothed since birth, but they're arch enemies. Um, but they agree to keep each other's secret. They're both queer. And so they decide that, they they're arch enemies, but they're like, okay, I'm queer, you're queer. We'll not tell anybody. So this is a medieval YA rom-com. This is comped for people who liked A Knight's Tale, which I have not read. It has a lot of sword fighting, found families. If those are kind of your buzzwords, then that one might be for you. Then we have Godly Heathens. This is H.E. Edgman's YA contemporary fantasy duology. But I feel like I don't think this is set in any other. For some reason I thought that this was like set in the same, but I don't think it is. I thought it was set in the same world, but I don't at all. But it follows a teenager who finds out that they are actually a reincarnated god from a different world. And then the final three that we have is Death and Sparkles and the Secret Garden Cupcake, which is the longest fucking title for a graphic novel. But this is about a unicorn whose horn begins to glow when he receives a message from his parents that he and Death are to set out on a quest to find out. Well, he receives a secret message from his parents, and then him and Death set out on an adventure to figure out what that message means, and whether it has anything to do with some revolting servant moles. I mean, I don't. If I'm about to look this up because I feel like this is a sequel. Yeah, because I feel Death and Sparkles and the Sacred Golden Cupcake is book number 2. Just so you know that. Like I said, I feel like that's definitely book number 2, not book number 1. Then we have Murder on Tour, which is by V.M. Burns, for those of you who are interested in cozy mysteries. This is Samantha Washington going on tour for the relaunch of her new mystery novel, which is a success. Until, of course, a murder happens, as do all cozy mysteries go. Then the last one that we have is Kingdom of Without, which is a YA cyberpunk, which I haven't seen. And it's a main character who has to survive a futuristic alternate history Beijing. And it's inspired by Les Mis. Perfect for fans of Six of Crows and Full Metal Alchemist. There's a lot going on with this one. And I was like, yo, so we have, which I haven't seen a huge market behind YA cyberpunk in a long time. It's a futuristic alternate version of Beijing. It is inspired by Les Mis, but it's also for fans of Six of Crows and Full Metal Alchemist. That's a heck of a thing. Has the cozy descriptor been a thing, or is it a more recent thing? It's been a thing for a while. Cozy mysteries, like that's been a thing for a long time. At least in my mind, it's been a thing. It's not recent. I know for a fact it's definitely not recent. Now, how long people have been saying cozy mysteries, I couldn't tell you. Hold on, y'all. My phone. I'm not my phone. My computer's about to die. I don't want my computer to die. Because just my luck, this bad boy would die while I'm trying to finish up this live. Well, I'm sitting here sniffling and sick as a dog. All right, y'all. That's literally it. Those are 77 titles that are releasing um this month. And that is it. I am gonna go ahead and say that I'm finna get off. I feel like shit. I don't know what happened. I was fine. I was fine. It was fine. And my child started sneezing, and now I'm not fine anymore. It sucks. So those are the 770 titles that are coming out this month. I will schedule the next one that we will probably do will either be the 19th or the 26th. Or if not, the 23rd or the 30th. I haven't exactly decided how I wanted to do that just yet. I haven't made up my mind. But it will be one either a Sunday or a Thursday, most likely, because Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays and Fridays are just not good for me. But we will do the December releases before December comes. Okay, so we're not in the middle of November talking about, oh, here are some November releases that you want to check out. But I hope y'all were able to add some stuff to your TBR. And that you were able to find some stuff maybe that you want to read. If there was some stuff that came out last week that you just missed. Hopefully you found something to read out of those 77 titles. As always, y'all, thank you for joining me. I appreciate it. I know. Thanks, y'all. I know. We were doing good. I was sick for a whole damn month. I just can't do it anymore. I can't. I have literally taken every vaccine, every booster, I've taken every precaution I can not to get sick, and I still get sick because I have a kid who is in daycare, and people don't take the same safety precautions, and so I'm just sick of being sick. That's all it is. But yes. Thank you all for joining me. Thank you for the well wishes. I greatly appreciate it. Y'all get some rest. And I will get at y'all soon. I'm sorry this has also been kind of like all over the place because I'm also like mentally in a fog right now because I'm not feeling too good. So thank you for bearing with me. I really appreciate it. And I will talk to y'all soon. Bye.